This is Dr. Troy Fullerton with Bilingual Barrier Busters, and tonight I want to talk a little bit about getting the words in when you're learning another language. There are people who will tell you that the only real proper way to acquire another language, and yes, I use that word on purpose, is by simply being around it, being in situations where you understand it and hearing it, and then much later on, you may begin to put it together and eventually acquire the grammar of the language, and then you can worry about reading, writing, that kind of thing. But at first you should simply learn to understand, then you should, begin speaking. They're trying to mimic the way people learn their first language as a child. Well, I've got a secret for you. You already have a language. Did you know that? Now, here's the problem. Since you already have a language, you are automatically going to filter your new language through the lens of the language you already speak. We all do it. Everybody comes up with an inner language as they're learning their new language. And I'll tell you, there's nothing wrong with that. When you start to use the language you are learning through the filter or through the lens of the language you already speak, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to say things that don't make sense, and then you're going to find out as you use the language that, that doesn't work, and then you'll back up and learn how to say things correctly and then move on. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a good way to learn. Now, when it comes to actually getting the words in, once again, everybody is going to tell you something different, and a lot of times there's this tendency to say, well, you should learn it naturally. You should acquire it naturally. I'm going to tell you something. You probably don't have time to just, by happenstance, acquire every word that you ever have to learn. But stop and think. Is that even realistic in your own language? Didn't you learn a lot of more literate vocabulary after you went to school? And you probably even learn vocabulary words in your own language, didn't you? And it helped to make you a more literate person. There is nothing wrong with artificially studying vocabulary. Anything you can do to get the words in is good. Reading is excellent. You've got time to stop and process things. You can make lists of words, but take it a step further. Once you learn new words, make them your own by coming up with your own sentences, your own expressions. Even if you don't have anybody to really say them to, just practice using them in expressions that you come up with. And I always recommend, as soon as possible, find a reason to actually use them with a person. You'll acquire things much faster that way.